Local SEO is one of the most competitive spaces in digital marketing, and today's guest has spent nearly 2 decades building a top tier consulting firm without a traditional office. Join us on today's episode of Makes Remote Work with Andrew Shotland, CEO and founder of Local SEO Guide, an industry leader who has generated over $4 billion in client revenue since 2006. Let's take a look. All right, welcome into the podcast, everybody. Andrew, thank you for joining us here. Happy to have you here.
Happy to be here, John.
Talk to me about Local SEO Guide. You've been in business for about 20 years now. Is there anything that you think, any reasons that you think that you've been able to maintain the success that you have? 20 years is a long time, especially in the SEO game.
Because I'm an idiot. That's why. I think, you know what? I just like, yeah, you guys, I just get up every day and I do this crazy stuff. And, once you're in a business for a long enough time, people have heard of you. Some people, at least, you have clients all over the place. Just like, Yex was a client of mine, and then everyone who worked at Yex went somewhere, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah, I've been lucky. I picked a really interesting industry that I had no clue about before I got into it, and just accidentally fell into it. And who knew it would become like the center of the universe in some way? At least that's what SEO is thinking.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back 20 years too, it's like, what even was SEO 20 years ago? Obviously, early beginnings. So I'm sure you've seen the industry change a ton. The team that you have now working for you in present day, you're about 20 people or so. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And were you always a 20-person team, or did you start off by yourself? Like, how does that progress?
For the first 8 years, I just was a solopreneur. And, I'd have consultants work for me once in a while, but after about 8 years of doing this nonstop, I was like, I'm being an idiot. Maybe I should hire someone to do the stuff I don't want to do. And so I started hiring people, and we grew kind of gradually. And then right before COVID, we were about, let's say, 15 people. And then when COVID happened, surprisingly, demand took off like crazy. And we grew to 30 people like in 6 months or something like that. So we kind of had for the like 2020 through 2022, we're like crazy go-go years for the.
Now, let's talk about the COVID era. Were you always a remote company before COVID, or did COVID kind of push you in that direction, then you just stuck with it?
No, always remote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When everyone was boohooing about, oh my God, what do I do in remote? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's awesome.
So you've always had your company in a remote first mindset. I think that there's a difference between, teams that move to remote out of necessity versus ones that were designed to be remote. Would you say that, the way you run your company, there's specific things that the way you drive culture, the way you get decisions done or made, anything there in terms of like hacks that you think other people would learn from, or anything that you're particularly proud of in the way you handle your remote making decisions throughout the day?
Well, I think my philosophy when I started this thing was I wasn't trying to be like $100 million business. I was just trying to like, how can I do a really good work and make some money and have the people who work for me have like as good a life as I have. That's
Mhm.
really like I would say the mission statement of the company is I never want to have to commute. And so that's the North Star. Okay. If we can figure that out, we're good. And
I like
so,
it.
yeah. And so I think part of the remote working lifestyle is that it's easier to give your team flexibility with their own lives. There's a guy who worked for me for about 8 years, and he told me when he left, he said, I was able to watch my kids grow up thanks to you, or, thanks to my clients really. But, and every year that dude sends me a case of amazing beer for Christmas, and he's been gone for 5 years and I still get that beer. So I think the remote thing works out pretty well for me.
Yeah. And on that, front, availability is a big factor too with remote teams. And you can look at it in two lenses, right? The way you're available for your internal team as a leader, but also the way you're there for your clients as a service provider.
Well, availability for some clients is definitely like a game changer, right? Because
Mhm.
they want you when they want you, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't mind being always on and always available. That's part of my job, I think, is to always be available or as much as possible. And then for teams, I think it's the same way. It's like it's so easy with being able to just pop into someone's office and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" or Slack them or text them or whatever, right? And I think the important thing for teams, right, is just what are the boundaries and kind of
Mm.
set those up in advance. Like, okay, don't ping anyone over the weekend, right? Because they really don't want to be pinged over the weekend, that kind of thing. So I think there's a little bit of a dance where you have to figure out who, because some people on my team will respond at 3 a.m. and I'll respond at 3 a.m. And so
Yeah,
I know they're not going to be upset if I ping them at 3 a.m. Some people I know, like, they'll take it as like an offense if I ping them at 3 a.m. And so
right,
just
right.
figure out who those people are.
And in terms of like meetings, what's your stance there? Are you somebody that loads your calendar up with meetings, either one-on-ones or team meetings, or is it something more or less, if you need me, come find me, I'm available. You did mention, dropping into people's offices.
Yeah.
What's your take there?
Well, I'm a big fan of, hey, hit me up when you need me. And when you see I'm free, grab me. Unfortunately, part of the job of being a little boutique SEO agency CEO is that client meetings and sales meetings and marketing, those things are like, I'm trying to get those down to the famous room 8-minute meetings, but it doesn't quite work that way. But with the team, I think we've become pretty effective at having very short meetings and very quick opportunistic meetings. Yeah. In fact, I don't know, is this a Rome ad? Because my favorite part of Rome is actually seeing people in meetings and being, oh, I need to talk to both those people right now. I know what they're talking about, and just popping in.
Not so much a Rome ad, but I
Okay.
do that out there. All right. In the spirit of short meeting, well,
Can I give my Rome influencer affiliate link out?
yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, we definitely could get that going for you. In the spirit of short meetings, we'll end on this one, but this one is kind of a loaded question, and I'm sure you probably get it all the time. And it's about AI and how it has impacted your industry in recent years, and just basically as we progress through time here. What is the biggest impact you've seen with AI so far, and how do you see it, changing your business as we, like I said, move forward in time?
I think if you had talked to me last year and said, "Hey, it's your 19th year in SEO. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's all right." No, been there, done that. With all this AI stuff, I think now it's like the most exciting, interesting year we've had in a long time because it's so upended so many different things. So I think it's pretty interesting development with search. Like, I don't know, we have some clients where like 50 to 60% of all their searches now are done have AI results on top of them. So, and of course, there's a billion people using ChatGPT for whatever reason.
Right.
So figuring all that out has created a lot of uncertainty in the market and a lot of interest in what people like us do is try to figure out weird systems to get your company to show up in places. Last week, we had our first client ever, a B2B tech startup, an AI startup. And they told us, we don't care about Google SEO. We only care about showing up in AI results. Because they're like,
Wow.
they think that's where their customer is doing it. I'm like, wow, okay, things have changed.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, even as a user, I'm way more on my Chat GPT app or Claude, asking questions about various things than I am in Google. The thing I still use Google for, which plays into SEO, is near me searches. I would say I probably still fall back on that.
Yeah,
If I'm in an area I'm not really familiar with, Italian food near me, stuff like that. But other than that, like I'm basically using AI
yeah.
chatbots for everything.
Local businesses, I think, have a big advantage in AI because there's only so many pizza joints in your town, right? So
Yeah.
you have a much better odds of showing up than just some random thing, from all over the world.
Yeah. Well, I will call on that one. Like I said, in the spirit of short meetings, we'll end it there. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. Found it really insightful. For everybody else listening, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, John.